You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. By going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com, you can make this possible. Possession of an ounce of less of marijuana will be legal in Illinois beginning in January. The law, which was signed in June, also recognizes that for decades, people caught with small amounts of pot receive stiff fines, possible jail time, and criminal convictions that dog them for life. So what will that mean for people who are serving time for a nonviolent offense? In just a moment, we'll be chatting with Cook County State's Attorney Kim Foxx. We want to go to our panel right now, though. And so let's welcome to our panel. First off, we have Kelly Bethea. Of course, she is communication strategist. We have Jason Nichols. He, of course, a lecturer, African American Studies, University of Maryland, and also Melik Abdul with Vice President of Black Conservative Federation. And we're going to bring in Attorney Foxx right now. Kim, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing great. This is obviously critically important when we talk about what is happening with these convictions all across the country. We're seeing individuals who are still in jail due to marijuana possession, but these states have now made it legal. I mean, I don't understand why it's not being made part of state law to vacate all of the convictions if you're going to make marijuana legal.
That's right. And in Illinois, Roland, we did just that. We recognized that as we were moving towards legalization, we were the 10th state to do so. All the other states had done it by referendum. We were doing it by legislation. And so we made sure that we were at the table to say that any legalization bill would have to have conviction relief for people who were already convicted for marijuana possession. And so I'm very proud that we sat at the table as part of those discussions. And when the law takes effect January 1st, we have a mechanism in place for those who had previous convictions to vacate those convictions and ensure that no one is sitting in our jails for previous marijuana.
How many folks are we talking about will be impacted by this?
You know, we have estimates up to 770,000 people statewide. Here in Cook County, we have about 72% of those folks of that 772.
Wow, that is a huge, huge number. And if somebody is in prison right now due to marijuana conviction, then what happens to them?
Certainly, we would review their record. You know, under the Illinois law, most of the automatic expungement for people who had 30 grams or less of marijuana, that would be considered a misdemeanor. And so there are very few people who are in jail or prison for misdemeanor marijuana. For anyone who has 30 grams or more, up to 500,000 or 500 grams, that's a felony. What we can do is then review those who are currently incarcerated to petition to have those folks released.
What are other DAs around the country? What are they also saying when it comes to marijuana convictions, even in places where they have not made marijuana legal? Are you seeing that this action likely to be taken in a lot of those places as well?
Absolutely. You know, Marilyn Mosby out of Baltimore has been trying to do vacating of convictions as well, even though it has not been legalized in Maryland just yet. Eric Gonzalez in Brooklyn has also been looking at this. George Gascon, who is the DA in San Francisco, where it is now legal in California, has been working on this. I think what you'll find with the growing number of prosecutors is they're not prosecuting low-level marijuana cases anymore because it is not fair, it's not equitable, it disproportionately impacts Black and brown communities. The question is, just because we've stopped prosecuting, what are we doing about righting the wrongs of the past, the previous convictions? And you're seeing a lot more efforts now of prosecutors doing that.
When you talk about, obviously, with these convictions, are you also seeing a change among state legislators to be more understanding of sort of this tough on crime sort of stance and realizing that, frankly, that's contributed to mass incarceration in this country?
Absolutely, absolutely. I would say that the state legislature here in Illinois was very mindful of that, not only on the conviction relief part, but on the equity of who gets to participate in marijuana sales, recognizing that people who had these convictions would be left out of the ability to make money in this new market and put in place processes that will allow for those people to participate. Additionally, our legislation said that we were going to reinvest dollars into those communities that have been impacted by the war on drugs. Our governor is signing off on the vacating of these convictions and expungements through the Prisoner Review Board. So we are very fortunate in Illinois to have a legislature that recognizes legalization must come in the form of equity and justice for communities that have been impacted by the war on drugs.
Absolutely. Kim Foxx, we surely appreciate it. Thank you so very much for joining us.
Thank you, Roland. I appreciate being on.
All right, let's go to our panel here. Kelly, I want to start with you. I mean, it's important because, again, now you have these states that are profiting off of marijuana, and they should be vacating these convictions.
No, they absolutely should. It shouldn't have been a crime in the first place because marijuana, once upon a time, was just kind of almost like the equivalent of persona non grata. No one really thought about it. But now we're in a place where, thankfully, it's not. At least in D.C., it's becoming more commercialized, and people are actually seeing the medical benefits of marijuana. And I think that hopefully people all over the country will see that. But on a side note, I think that once white people actually become affected by something, that's when it starts to become, radically changed. We're seeing this with the opioid crisis, first with crack. People didn't really think about it and just thought it was like a black people problem. But now that opioids are in the white community, now all of a sudden it's a health crisis. Although it was supposed to be that in the first place, I kind of liken that to the marijuana. It was never a bad thing. They just criminalized it because I feel like black people were using it. So I just couldn't agree more with the decision that Chicago's making. I think that a lot of lives will be changed for the better because of it.
Jason.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. We've known for a long time that marijuana is, not a gateway drug. It's something that people use recreationally. I think there's something as many as 80% of Americans believe that marijuana should at the very least be decriminalized, if not completely legal. So it really doesn't make sense that we made this kind of crime, and I think we've been profiteering off of it, whether it's through private prisons or the mass incarceration. There have been many people who have been profiteering, and now definitely these people's sentences should be vacated. And not only that, I would also add that a lot of marijuana dispensaries in places that it is legal, very few of those have been licensed to black people. And so I think that that's another thing that needs to happen, is that if people are going to profiteer off of marijuana, then I think our community deserves our piece too.
Bellick?
Well, this is one of those moments where I can say, good job, D.C. Currently in D.C., you can be caught what I think about 2 ounces of marijuana. You can grow up to, I think, 6 plants. Just recently, it was the mayor. She actually, and it's in the process now, where she's getting ready to sign a bill to legalize recreational marijuana. And the council earlier, I don't know if it was this month or the month prior, the D.C. council unanimously voted to expunge the records of people who had been previously convicted of marijuana convictions. And what was happening in the past under the old law is that those records could be sealed after 8 years. And now what the D.C. Council has done is actually to speed that process up so they can have those, I believe, the immediate removal of that from their record, and they can also be sealed. So I think it's a great thing. I was at a Women for Trump event last year, and I met some, and not just men, but women, actually a number of women, older women much older than me, who were actually put there at the Women for Trump event to push for marijuana, exactly what we're talking about now. It was shocking to me, but it was something I was like, oh, wow. Now, they were from the West Coast, but the fact that I think this is a much more bipartisan issue than people will really be willing to realize. And I think
everybody smokes.
Yeah, and I think it's a good thing, and I don't know if people remember, but Attorney General Barr, he was asked about that during his hearing, and he actually said that he was actually open to the idea of the federal coverage of marijuana.
Well,
so
I think we should decriminalize all drugs.
Well, then again, you got to be high to be a woman for Trump.
So, Roland, they did a good thing.
You still got to be high as hell to be a woman for Trump.
Maybe so, but it's a great thing.
Maybe so. You got to be high.
But you need their support in order
strand.
for this team to go.
Say what?
Depends on the strand.
Nah, you need some. You need like
strain,
a serious.
Is it strain?
You need.
I'm a strain.
Well,
I don't smoke like that.
and we know who will know. Absolutely. So, yeah, but you got to be real high to vote for Trump. I'm just saying. All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment. All right, folks, November 7th through 11th, I want you to join me in Cabo. That's right, the second annual Life Luxe Jazz Experience will be taking place there. An unbelievable lineup there of food and music and drink and all that good stuff. Golf, spa, wellness, all kind of things happening in Cabo during that time, including the Spirit of Jazz Gospel Brunch and the Jazz Sunset Cruise. Among the guests confirmed, actor Mark Curry, saxophonist Gerald Albright, Alex Bouillon, Raul Madan, Incognito, Pieces of a Dream, Kirk Whalum, Average White Band, Donna McClurkin, Shalea, Roy Ayers, Tom Brown, Ronnie Laws, Ernest Quarles. Now, of course, all of y'all going to be on the East Coast, and the Midwest was going to be cold as hell. Come on down to Cabo. Let's have a great time for 4 days in November. I'm going to be broadcasting Roland Martin Unfiltered from Cabo that Thursday and Friday. And so it's going to be an absolute great time, an unbelievable experience, upscale accommodations, of course, great music and great food and great people. And so we would love to have you join us. Packages range anywhere from $1,300 to $2,000. And again, there's going to be concerts all throughout those 4 days. And so we're going to have an absolute great time. And so I want you to go to the website right now and check it out. Love to have you there. The website is lifeluxejazz.com. Lifeluxejazz.com. If you're looking for an absolutely great time with grown people, let me say that again, grown people, y'all can leave the kids at home. And so y'all can sit in, roll without kids, have a great romantic time. Go to lifeluxejazz.com. Would love to see you in Cabo during that time. And so lifeluxejazz.com, November 7th through the 11th. So sign up today. Now back to your Roland Martin Unfiltered video.